Welcome to the Wandering Road, a place where the unseen moves all around us. The stories you'll hear aren't just whispered legends. They're shadows that cling, footsteps that follow, and whispers that never fade. Every turn pulls you closer to the unknown, and once you've heard what waits here, the night will never feel the same again.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Wandering Road podcast. I'm your host Chris, and joining me once again today is Mr. JJ, the host of the Southern Demonology podcast. And today's show is going to be kind of a continuation from our last episode, and the reason I say that is we started to talk a little bit about some Japanese curses, and JJ and I we're talking a little bit offline about that. Your favorite word, offline. We took it offline. We circled back to offline.
You're trying to boil the ocean.
You're trying to boil the ocean. Yeah. So if you didn't listen to the previous episode, that was about the terrible, terrible documentary called A Cursed Man. Go listen to that episode. Don't watch the documentary. Just do yourself a favor. Just go listen to that.
Save yourself an hour and a half of torture.
Yes, and then come back here if you want to hear more about Japan and its curses. Before we ended last time, you mentioned a couple of words and different types of curses that are part of Japanese culture. And
yes,
those words were, correct me if I mispronounce them, noroi and tatari.
Yes, that's correct. Although I used the alternate word form of that second one, I said tachiari.
Tachiari, okay.
Which I have read in another book, but some of the other sources I'm seeing seems to indicate that tatari is the more accepted term, so that's what I am going to go with.
So why don't we jump right into it, dude? I know you lived in Japan. You purchased a home in Japan. You went shopping around there, encountered some weird homes, which I would like to get into later on. Let's start with noroi. Like, what does that mean? Like, is that something done by like a shaman, a witch? Like, where do we start with that?
Noroi, you can think of it's first of all, it's human based, and it is a deliberate curse. It can use a variety of different mediums or mechanisms, whether that would be from a kami, a god, a spirit, some sort of more supernatural force in order to cause harm to somebody. So that's the best way of thinking about noroi. And like documented cases, you can normally see like prosecution that tends to be for like trespass, vandalism, and intimidation, but not so much more like magic based. Tatari, think of it as kind of a perverted divine manifestation of a curse. Its source is it's brought about by a kami. For example, let's say that you go to a jinja, a shrine, and you do some really disrespectful things like entirely too many idiot gaijin tourists are doing nowadays for social media clout.
Like you.
No. You have never met a more law-abiding citizen than me when it comes to Japan. But if that person then receives a curse, then that would be a true case of tatari.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like with the noroi, it's kind of like you're a dick. You're pissing me off. You won't leave me alone. Get off my property. You're being a nuisance. I'm going to do something minor to just get you away.
Yeah. Think of it as your neighbor is pissed off because you're making too much noise and they actively put a hex on you. That would be noroi. Whereas if you went to a shrine and was doing stupid stuff and you got a curse put on you, then that would be tatari, because that would be straight from the kami of the shrine.
So let me put it this way. what if you're a foreigner, you don't knowingly know that you just disrespected the kami? Like, you don't know. Like, you literally don't know. Is there any leeway within
I think that there is, especially if you perform a donation. Because the way it works at a shrine is you go there, you purify yourself by washing your hands and rinsing your mouth out with the water from the shrine, and then you go, you donate some money, usually just coins, nothing like extravagant or anything, and then you ring the bell twice. Well, you ring the bell once, you clap your hands twice, you pray, and then you clap your hands once more, and that signifies the end of the visit. So if it's just a breach of etiquette, I don't think that's going to cause any kind of an issue. For example, do you walk straight through the tori, the gate, or do you step on the side? Do you step on the actual you're supposed to step in from the side, but if you go straight through the middle, I don't think too many people is going to bat an eye at you. If you step on the threshold that of the tori itself, that's a no. But again, that's a minor inconvenience. However, if you go there and start like trying to do pull-ups on a bar, or start attempting to do damage to the shrine, that goes well beyond the bounds of etiquette and will lead you into deep doo-doo.
Yeah, before you said all of that, I was thinking you mentioned the word donation. I'm like, okay, if I grease the palms a little bit, you won't the kami won't curse me. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it is a very, when it comes to jinjas, it's a very transactional nature. Japan in general, you have to remember, is not overly religious by any stretch of the imagination. The daily life involves a combination of Shintoism and Buddhism. Buddhism for major events or in one's life, such as death, birth, marriage, etc. Whereas Shintoism is done in order to get talismans for protection or academic success or love or whatever it happens to be, in addition to asking the local kami of the shrine in order to fulfill requests. And in order to do that, you then donate money into the offering box, which is just a giant box with wooden slats set um, perpendicular to the box itself. So you can just throw the money, you ring the bell, you clap, you pray, you clap, and you're good to go.
you've mentioned to me quite a few times the color red. That's a
It has
color
a special
associated with
meaning.
it
Yes.
has yeah. And if you come across an item just randomly on the ground, like some sort of charm or something that's like red, you're not supposed to pick it up. I
You're,
wanted to ask,
you're
and
asking for trouble if you do.
yeah, my question would be, and it's okay if you I'm not trying to ambush you with this question here, but my question would be is where do those come from? Is someone actively going around cursing these objects or something of that sort and just placing them, and you just happen to be unlucky enough or not knowledgeable enough to not know, hey, I'm not supposed to pick that up, and then you kind of get tacked with a curse or some sort of spirit that comes along with it.
So there is another category, and that would be like Onryō or Goryō, which is the vengeful dead. Onryō literally means it's a dead spirit, at least within modern horror stories. Onryō is the source of these types of, if you find a pendant on the ground or an umbrella or something else, and you pick it up and bad stuff starts happening to you, it's not because of Noroi, it's rather because the vengeful dead have placed that there and you have angered them by picking it up. Like, one of the scariest parts about just some of the tales that you encounter in Japan, the dead are famous for being absolutely vengeful as ever living heck if they are pissed off enough. There are so many tales of women being spited, of men being cheated upon, and they go to their death with this resentment burning in their heart, in which it can then manifest, and they desire to take that out on the living or those in which are in a situation that caused their pain to begin with.
You know, it's funny. The game that I've been playing, Ghost of Yote,
Hmm.
it's like it's like the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. If you've never played the first game, I think you'd enjoy it. But they call the main character because her family being attacked and like siblings killed and parents killed, and she survives. They call her that. She goes around basically killing the people that caused her harm when she was a child. So now that kind of makes sense.
Hmm.
That correlation. The character has like a mask. It looks like a fox mask, but it's like white.
Yeah,
That's how they associate.
that's very common. That's a kitsune. And actually, most of the types of possession stories that you get out of Japan are from fox-like spirits, which can possess and cause all kinds of havoc in one's life.
What's the significance of foxes? I never understood it.
They're usually depicted as having multiple tails, especially like a nine-tail fox.
Yeah.
And they are viewed just like tanuki. They're viewed as being magical creatures that love to mess around with the lives of humans. Kitsune are typically depicted as being much more malevolent than tanuki. Tanuki or the raccoon dogs are depicted more as just being happy-go-lucky and love to play pranks, whereas kitsune can be a heck of a lot more malicious in nature.
But one thing I wanted to go back to, JJ, how would you know you were cursed by a kami? Is there any way to like reverse that? Or is it kind of like it is what it is? You got to just deal with it.
There's a crap ton of like mediums and fortune tellers in Japan that claim to be able to distinguish this kind of stuff. You can also go to a Shinto priest that is reputed to be able to deal with these kinds of situations. Both are going to require a substantial monetary payment for their services, but that would be probably the easiest way of trying to figure out what's the source of my curse and how can I get rid of it. There's even more sources of like types of stuff that can go wrong with you. You could have the misfortune of running into a tsukimono, which is an object that has been imbued, like an article of clothing or something else, but it could be an object that has been around and used by humans for a long time. It has been imbued with its own living soul, and it can then interact with the human world for both good and for ill.
Okay, going off of that, if you search hard enough, you can find a weapon that still has battle scars and blood on it. And is that kind of an example of something that would have like a living type of spirit on its own? Like if you were to purchase
It
that,
could be, absolutely. And it doesn't just go for items. There's also parcels of land, the Tadichi or Kuseichi. These are places in which you can own it, you can enter it without permission, you can try to like harvest its resources, and any of these places can then turn around and smack you down with the back of its hand.
one thing that I just love about this conversation is just that it's the luck of the draw. It's not
Oh,
necessarily you
absolutely.
go looking for this type of stuff. It's like, sorry, you're the dummy that bought the land, and now you have to deal with whatever's there.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why when we were shopping for properties in Japan, I spent a decent amount of time looking around the property, making sure I didn't get any kind of like odd feelings about it. Talking to some of the neighbors if it was possible, just trying to get a sense of the place, and looking for any kind of talismans within the house, especially in the closets, because for some reason that is always the trope or the cliche. Oh, there's a Buddhist charm in the closet, which indicates that this place is cursed. So,
You know, it'd be so messed up. Like the previous owners were devout Buddhists and they just kind of had their shrine in there and forgot to take a piece of it when they moved. And now that poor home has the stigma of being haunted or or
oh no,
something.
these talismans, they're rectangular shapes of paper and with very specific glyphs that are written on them. It's very evident what these things are. So yeah, that usually should not happen.
With the talismans, I don't want to say there's a market for it, but clearly people go to these monks and Shinto practitioners to assist with this type of stuff. You said that, you know, it comes at a hefty price, like at a monetary price. I know people will immediately think that, oh, they're swindlers, which I'm sure there are. You know,
Oh, I
every
can guarantee you there are. No, it's just the fact that everything of value costs money, and religion is much more of a transactional nature in Japan or in many Asian countries, not just Japan, rather than something that's like truly devotion based, like you would find at least within Western culture.
Where I was going with that question, JJ, is that when it comes to, let's say, the Catholic Church, if you need help and you go to a priest, you go, you know, they do their investigations, the diocese makes the recommendation, or they like talk to Rome, whatever. There's this whole chain
Yep.
of command that they have to go through. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like if you and I or somebody needed that, they're not going to be like, okay, we'll do this, but you need to tap your card here first.
Yeah,
Um,
there's none of that. Whereas
yeah,
in Japan, it's very common for because there are special money envelopes which are white, and you slide the money in, and then you push it across with both hands, and they accept it, and yeah, you don't see that kind of we'll do it for free because we love you as a human being. This is you will value our practices, so get ready to pony up.
yeah. I was thinking it was more so like this is very dangerous, so we have to
Oh yeah,
have
I mean,
a charge attached to it.
that's the thing. If you're dealing with these things, you are absolutely putting yourself in danger. So I don't blame them for charging money. I would probably charge much more money than they do, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. You know, the danger aspect, I think it's fair to charge a fee, kind of like if you were calling in a pest remover or an exterminator to get rid of a rattlesnake. I'm sure that's not cheap.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I get the equivalency. If you were to go to a practitioner like that, what would you have to be dealing with in order to elicit that kind of support?
I don't. I'm not really sure if I could quantify it like that. It doesn't. It could be very minor. It could be I've got a rash on my arm. It won't go away. I think it may be because of X, Y, or Z. Can you perform a blessing on it? That's not going to cost like what I'm talking about. But if you're someone who's having, major nightmares, can't sleep, feel like something's following you all the time, that's when you would probably go to either a Shinto or a Buddhist priest and see if they can do something to intercede for you.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was thinking of the realms of I'm seeing like a full apparition, like a
Oh,
lady.
it could be that as well. I mean, my God, you can just walk by a hako, a graveyard, and attract something to come back to you. And in that case,
Like
you
that
know,
happened to you.
yeah, exactly. And if leaving purified salt out does not get rid of the problem for you, then and it becomes much more pervasive, yeah, that's when you would start seeking higher spiritual help.
I just immediately think of the girl from The Ring looking type of.
Sadako.
Yeah, yeah, like, that's the first thing like, when you say, like, a Japanese spirit, that's, like, the first thing that pops into my mind, like, the black hair,
Well, I mean,
pure pale.
and that that is because that's how it has always been. The very first sighting of a yude, a ghost, was done by an artist in the, I think, 1536, if I got the year right, but it's in the 1500s. This artist had lost his mistress and was so in the dumps about it, fell asleep, and had a vision of her with her long, straight black hair. Could not see her feet. It was just translucent toward the legs. He woke up and he painted the very first picture of a Yude, and that has become cemented in Japanese thought as to these are what spirits look like. And it had that's why you see even Sadako looking like that in the modern day, because it harkens back to the historical thought on the matter.
And it's super creepy, and it works.
Oh, absolutely, it works.
I don't know the prevalence of what people would claim, especially in modern day society, of a yokai or an oni plaguing their home or haunting their home or following them around. From what you know, is that something that's like reserved for mythology and conversation? Or if you were to you go to like a monk or a Shinto temple and like, I have a oni in my house. Like, you guys need to help me out.
Yeah, those things which are more like bakemono or monsters or historical big historical creatures, you don't really see that entirely too much anymore. Whether that would be tengu, which are the bird, the humanoids with wings and really long noses with red faces, oni, which are ogres. Those are things that you may encounter out in the wilderness, perhaps, maybe,
Okay.
but yeah, you wouldn't really see that. You're really more talking about like Yude or ghosts, which are plaguing individuals nowadays. Although yokai, there are always new types of yokai that are bringing up all over the place. In fact, when I was in Japan last, which was now sadly 2 years ago, there was a news report that was going over some of the new ones. Of one which was a motorcycle riding samurai with a katana that was terrorizing people in a downtown metropolitan area. It was just kind of crazy.
It was some drunk kid that got some samurai armor and was
Oh,
like,
it has to be. I mean, but it happened more than once, so something strange was going on. But yeah, people are attributing that to be a brand new type of yokai that was wandering around.
It's kind of funny. One thing that I wanted to talk about when you mentioned vengeful spirit was this guy, Taira no Masakado. I think he was a samurai from the Heian period. So I think that's like the 900s to thousands. And he was beheaded. I think he was beheaded in Kyoto. And his
Yeah,
head traveled all the way to the eastern side of Japan. I think it was in Edo at the time or
yeah.
modern day Tokyo where it traveled to. It's where he was originally from.
Oh
And
yeah, it's the most famous rage-bound spirit that there is. Masakado is like there's a shrine in Tokyo to his head. and it was put there in order for his spirit not to cause havoc anymore. And if you look at property values, that is perhaps the greatest costing piece of undeveloped real estate in the world. And it's dedicated to Masakado. And back in the 40s, it's, of course, a lot of this stuff gets overwritten with fables and lenses of history. But the US government was going to aid Japan in reclaiming this piece of land. The moment that like construction began, people died, bulldozers were flipped over. It was all kinds of weird stuff that was going on reportedly. And they stopped it and they put everything back the way that it was, and no one has touched it since. I mean, it's a very famous tourist spot as well, but yeah, you don't mess around with Masakado.
Is there like a ritual when you have to go visit his grave, or?
I think you would just honor it. To my knowledge, there's not like a jinja there. You may like bow to it or something like that, but you just wouldn't go there and start cussing it out. Put it that way.
Though
Yeah,
I would like for someone to try it just to see what happens.
I wouldn't, because it's reputed that like the moment that he was beheaded, his spirit was so incensed that his head sprouted flames and took off and rocketed into the air and flew to Edo.
I did look up some of that. It's kind of interesting. It's like you see the flames at the back of the head, and his face is all blue, and he just looks pissed off.
Oh yeah, one of the ultimate versions of what and Onryō would be the vengeful dead.
So he's kind of like the OG one.
Oh, he's the ultimate like personification.
The poor person that gets plagued with him. I doubt there would be any Shinto priest or Buddhist monk that would be willing to take that on.
I know that they built a shrine there, and it was done by Buddhists in order to appease Masakado. They may be willing to do something, but if it was intentional, then you might be SOL.
Yeah. We did some digging and found some actual, quote unquote, I want to say like exorcisms, but kind of exorcisms gone wrong that has happened within the past, I'd say 40 years in Japan.
The one thing to keep in mind is these are more Kitsune Tsuki type of cases,
Right.
fox possession, more so than demonic possession.
Right. So, like, there's a distinction that we should probably make, that when we say possession, it's not in the vein of the Judeo-Christian demons.
Correct.
It's more spirit based.
Now, there are demons, there are Akuman, and these things can take you over, but by and far, most of the stuff is attributed to nasty fox spirits than anything else.
So, real quick on Akuman, those
And
can
we're
be
not
considered.
talking about the secret Street Fighter 2 boss.
Yeah, Akuma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are these considered preternatural beings in the same sense as how we consider demons in Christianity to be
No.
preternatural, or are these
These-
all earthly
These are supernatural based.
I would say preternatural based is probably a curse from a kami.
No, it's
Is-
still supernatural because that's coming from a higher being.
But wouldn't that make it preternatural? Because you're talking about a being that's never had like a human form.
Yeah,
type
but
thing.
that's what a supernatural is as well. Preternatural, it is talking about a different kind of being, but a being that is locked to a time or place or person. They
Sure.
are restricted, and you don't really see those restrictions in Japanese ways of thinking about these evil entities.
Okay, that makes sense. You shared some of the examples that you found with me, and I think I did run into one of these examples as well. Would this be considered one of the kitsune within that vein? The Sachiko Eto case, the exorcism I think this took place in Fukushima in the mid 90s. So it's from like 94 to 95, where she basically killed these people in an attempt to relieve them of whatever spiritual ailment or possession that they were dealing with. And seems like she was a cult leader as well.
She loved to beat her victims in order to drive out these demons.
So with Sachiko Eto, it was her and her daughter that assisted in killing ugly devils. So I don't know what ugly devils means. So basically, what they would do, I believe they had 6 victims. They would beat the crap out of them in these rituals involving taiko sticks. So they're basically taiko is a type of drum, and they would take the sticks from that drum and they
And
would
those
beat.
are thick ass sticks too.
Yeah, they would beat the ever living shit out of them to try to cast out these spirits until they die. The way that she was caught was the police searched her house after one of the members that was beaten close to death survived, went to the hospital, reported this to the police, and the police decided to search her home and found the corpses of her victims. This lady claimed that she was a self-professed guru. She claimed that she had psychic abilities, and that's how she was able to view these demons and needed to cast them out. The reason I wanted to bring that up in today's episode, and of course there are other examples, not just in Japan, but throughout the world of, stuff like this happening. It doesn't matter what culture we're talking about, what religious belief we're talking about, what spiritual belief we're talking about. We'll always have the unfortunate situation where this stuff gets taken too far and it results in people dying.
Oh, absolutely.
It's always a constant that you have to keep an eye out for. And another thing is that you have to be able to distinguish between paranormal ailments and psychological issues.
There's another one in which there was an 81-year-old professional exorcist by the name of Eiko Nora and others that were assisting. They were arrested after they pinned a woman down and forced her to drink large volumes of water as part of an exorcism, and the woman died, and they were all scooped up.
And one thing that you and I both came across is that this information is hard to find. And one thing that you told me in one of our personal conversations, when this types of stuff happens, it's kind of hush hush.
Oh, it's absolutely hush hush because of 2 reasons. First is just Japanese are intensely private, and the main reason for that is the amount of social pressure and stigmatism that you find. I mean, there's a mental condition called hikikomori in which people are so afraid to leave their houses or their rooms because they think that everyone around them is making fun of them. There is an intense amount of pressure on everything. So nobody wants to be subjected to that. And so they will hide everything they possibly can in order to keep their neighbors or society at large from talking bad about them and possibly ruining their entire life.
It's such a far cry, I guess, what we experience here. I mean, a lot of people keep their paranormal experiences hush hush. What we have over here is, people that are openly willing to talk about it, literally not giving a crap about what other people think.
There's a very famous Japanese phrase of the nail that sticks out is the first to get hammered down. That could not be more true. And so people will do anything and everything not to stand out. In fact, I mean, the few times in which I've gotten people to talk about, because most of Japanese believe in spirits and ghosts. However, very few are willing to talk about it.
I would love to hear some firsthand accounts of folks that lived in haunted homes in Japan, what that was like. Out of curiosity, just kind of compare what that's like for people that experience hauntings on our side of the world, just to see if there's any similarities or stark differences. That's just my morbid curiosity. Do you really see a white woman with long black hair coming at you?
The thing is about Japanese real estate agents is that they are required to disclose any kind of stigma that has been attached to a property. And it's recorded. And there's an entire website now dedicated to preserving all of these types of reports. Now, the problem is that A, you have to know Japanese in order to use the site, but B, the vast majority of everything are around like DV, domestic violence, or like crimes that took place or deaths that took place. I have yet to find a ton of great examples of hauntings, but they've got to be there.
So, speaking of real estate, you alluded to it earlier in the show. You went house hunting in Japan, and congratulations, you actually have a home out there, which totally not jealous. I'm going to move in with you.
Oh, and there's the city feature where I'm at called the Green Road, and it stretches amongst numerous different cities out in West Tokyo. And it's a bike path, it's a walking trail. There are numerous parks scattered all around it. It's filled with sakura trees everywhere. It's just the most beautiful thing. And I fell in love with it the very first time I ever encountered it. The place that I got is right off from the Green Road, and it's only like a 5-minute bike ride to the station. So I am tickled to death.
Walking to your house, it's just nothing but tanuki statues.
Well, that's the thing. One of the houses that we looked at, so there were 2 houses that were considered quote unquote stigmatized. One of them is because an old lady had passed away in one of them. It was a really nice location, but my wife wasn't comfortable with it because of that fact. But the other one is that directly across the street was like the ultimate personification of a haunted house that I have ever seen. It had creeping vines crawling all over the thing. It was eerie as ever. I will have to dig up because I took several pictures of it. I would dig it up and send it because it creeped me out. And I'm like, there's no way I'm buying a house right next to this place. The other one, we drove a good bit out. It was on top of a mountain. And I told this in the story of stigmatized properties on my own channel. But we got to this top of the mountain. It was right at sunset. And there were, I don't know, I can't count, but there are at least 10 to 20 tanuki statues all over the place. And they're the creepy ones. They were wearing hats and they have bug eyes. And when you're seeing this at night, it's not the most quieting of effects. I'm like, okay, fine. Because we were looking for the place and we asked somebody who was walking by, and the people that we saw, they were just staring at you, which as a foreigner is not too uncommon, but they were just staring like something. It was almost like a scene out of Silent Hill almost. It was just creepy in their intensity. And then we got into the house and things seemed to be okay until I went up to the attic, and it was just one long room. And the moment I stepped into that room, I felt something looking at me. And I'm like, nope, I walked down the stairs, and of course, you have to wear these slippers that are meant for various guests, and my feet are entirely too large for these things. So I've like just jammed the foot, the very top of my toes into them. I'm trying to race down these stairs, grab my wife, get the heck out of this place. And she's like, why? I don't mind this place. And I went, no, ain't no way in ever living hell. So yeah, we got out of there real quick.
Did the real estate agent tell you guys anything like allude to anything?
No, he was like, nothing's wrong with this place. And they're legally required to do so, but there is just something wrong with that house. The other houses we visited, some way out in the country, some not, I had no problems with it. This one in particular, it just sent whatever tiny amounts of like spidey danger sense radar going off that I have. It was not a good feeling.
I know the feeling because that happened to me too when I was house hunting. Went into
Really?
the first house that we went to see, which is kind of funny. I've told this story a couple times before on some other episodes. We get to the house, we're waiting for our real estate agent. The listing agent happens to live across the street, and she saw us there. And she's like, "Oh, okay, you guys are here to look at this home. I'm actually the real estate agent. I can let you in." So she opens up the door. She's like, I'll be right across the street. Just let me know if you need anything." So we walk in, we're looking around, and I'm like, okay, it's not as big as I thought it was in as the pictures showed, which is fun. So we go through the house, and I go downstairs to the basement. My wife's down there, my mother-in-law is down there. The real estate agent came back, and she was down there with everyone. I go down there. I step down there, get off the last step, and it felt like I stepped back into that home I lived in,
Oh,
that
God.
haunted. I thought to myself, there's something here. I know it's here. It knows that I know that it's here. So I turned my ass back around and went straight upstairs.
Do not blame you.
On the drive to the other home that we were going to look at, I was like, "What did you think?" And she was like, she didn't like it because of like the size. And I was like, you know what? It kind of felt like I felt those vibes again. And I'm like, I'm not dealing with that again.
I do not blame you. And the weirdest part about this house is that on the this attic room, of course, is at the very top of like a 3 flights of stairs, but it had a Disney emblem on the door, and I'm like, that's weird. And I open up the door, step into the attic, and I just felt chills, and I went, nope, I am out of here.
You sure it wasn't cold?
No, it wasn't at all. Something was there and it did not like me. I don't know if I had a problem with Gaijin or what it was, but no.
If you had to make an educated guess, what do you think it was?
It was a very angry spirit. It would have made our lives hell if we were there. So I'm like, no.
Was that the only house that you kind of got creepy vibes with, or did your wife, like in the houses that you went to see, get any of those indications as well, or was it just you
No,
that?
it didn't. It was just me, and that was the only house in which I got weird stuff. But yeah, I was checking everywhere for any possible talismans that someone may have hung up just in case.
And the last question I have, this kind of turned into like me questioning you about all this stuff. So I didn't mean it to turn into that, but I kind of got
Doesn't
carried
bother
away.
me at all.
The one question I've always wanted to ask you, but I keep forgetting to ask, is your wife's Japanese. So, what are her thoughts on all of this stuff that you talk about, and the feeling that you got when you were over there, when you went to that home, and just like, is she on the same wavelength as you when it comes to that, or is she kind of like,
She
okay, dude?
she definitely believes, but she did not like question my sanity when I told her what I was feeling. And she didn't have a problem with excluding that one because of that. So she may not believe in everything that I do. She's not a Christian.
Sure.
She is a Buddhist by nature, which is fine. And yeah, but she definitely doesn't discount anything that I talk about or believe in.
Okay, so it sounds like she's on the same wavelength when it comes to
Oh yeah,
spirituality and the paranormal and stuff. Has she ever had anything weird happen to her that she's ever told you about?
she's had a few things, but yeah, she's not the most comfortable in discussing them all. So I haven't pressured her on that.
That's fair. I was just curious, just my own curiosity. I figured I'd ask. By the way, anyone watching this, there's no Ide over here. That's my sister-in-law's dog. I'm babysitting. Well, dog sitting. Look, I swear. That's Luna. She's a little pain in the butt. But but yeah, JJ, I think this was a fun episode. I enjoyed this conversation. It kind of
I
helped.
love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I do too. And I like talking about this specifically with Japan and Asia with you and others because I have no background or understanding of it. It's my understanding of it is very superficial. So the only comparisons that I can make is from what I know with, our paranormal stories and our myths and all that stuff with Christianity and try to link it to understand the Japanese side of the paranormal and supernatural with curses and everything like that. They're drastically different. They're so different.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I don't even categorize them into the same stuff anymore. They are completely separate. Just like, you know, when you first start learning a language, you're translating everything from that language into your native one, and then you having to go back. But after a while, those concepts stay separate from each other, and that's how I keep my ideals of the supernatural in Japan separate from everything else. It just there's some correlation, but there's not enough to really be able to draw tons of meaningful relationships, put it that way.
And it sounds like it's one of those cases that your rules do not apply here.
Oh yeah.
Let's do a hypothetical. There was, some sort of possession case in Japan and they brought in Father Malachi Martin to help. I wonder what good that would do in that type of scenario,
That is a good question. Now, something that there is one place that I know of that is even more like rampant with ideas of ghosts and spirits, and that would be Hong Kong.
I didn't know that.
Oh God, yes. Every building is purported to have its own set of ghosts and spirits, and yeah, that's why there's so many really bad horror movies set in Hong Kong.
Yeah, speaking of horror movies, I still need to watch Noroi and the other one you recommended, The Night of 100 Monsters.
Yes.
Yeah, I still need to.
And if you haven't seen it, you've got to watch One Cut of the Dead.
One Cut of the Dead. What's that one about?
It is a horror comedy film, and I can't say anymore because it would just ruin it. But it's probably one of the most clever films that I have watched in a very long time. It is awesome.
I'll have to check that out too. Is Noroi a film that I should watch myself or not recommended watching alone?
It's long. It is like 2 hours and something long, and it's very convoluted. You'll be fine watching it alone. That I wouldn't worry about that part of it.
I'm not gonna dream of the Kuchisake Onna now, though, right?
No, you
Okay.
won't.
Before we end, I just want to say I am thoroughly terrified of those vengeful Japanese female spirits.
As you should be.
My fear, I always joke with you, I'm going to take you back to Okigahara. It's been a long standing joke since we became really good friends, almost 3 years now.
Yep.
I don't know if I want to go.
I wouldn't. When I went there the first time, I thought it was just going to be an awesome experience that I'll be able to tell for years. And instead, it was a extremely terrifying experience in which I don't like talking about.
You got an attachment just walking by a graveyard.
Oh, yeah.
I want to go to Sekigahara, which is home to the largest and bloodiest battle in Japanese history.
Just make sure to buy purified salt.
Yeah, it's like, what are the odds of something following me there? Why is it so common in Japan for spirits to follow people, but I can go to Gettysburg for a zillion times and I'm sure there are spirits there, but they're not following? I don't understand why, like what the difference is here.
I can't tell you. I have been to for where we're living at now. There's a medical nursing home in which my mother-in-law stays in. And then in order to get to another side of town, we have to ride our bikes through a very large graveyard. I ride through this thing all the time on my bike. I stop and use the bathroom that's in the graveyard itself. Haven't had a problem from it. And yet, the one time I walked by this other graveyard, I got a very angry spirit that followed me. I can't give you a reason why or how, but it just happens.
I'm sure some people have explanations. If we went and talked to like a Shinto priest or a Buddhist monk.
It could be, or it could just be random luck of the draw. You attracted an Onryō's gaze and it decided it didn't like you. Who knows?
What if it does like you? Is that even worse?
If you're dealing with a female spirit, yeah, that could definitely be worse.
Oh, gosh.
But nobody
my
would like you by looking at you, so I don't think you have to
I
worry
know.
about that. That's doubly true for me, dear Lord.
We have faces for radio.
That is accurate. And I have a voice for newspaper. That's why I got into podcasting. Can't you tell?
A voice. That's the first time I've heard that one. A voice for newspaper. Before we end, I will say, the next time you go to Japan, I hope you don't get anything following you when you cycle through a graveyard, because that would be really crappy.
That's why I always keep purified salt on hand, no matter what.
Or maybe I want something to follow you. I'm
No,
kidding. I'm
you
kidding.
don't.
I'm kidding. I'm not
Absolutely don't.
putting that evil on you, Ricky Bobby. Don't worry. Mr. JJ, I appreciate you coming on once again. I've had you back to back this time. I promise I'll come on to your show soon. But before we end, where can the people find Southern Demonology?
Yeah, we're on all podcasting platforms, and you can go to southerndemonology.com to get all of our social links. And recently, now you can go into every episode that we've got and read the transcripts of everything there. So it's even more convenient.
That sounds amazing. And I know you put a lot of work into that, so
I
go
did
check that out,
indeed.
people.
I built an entire bloody transcription engine. I'm quite proud of how it turned out.
Yep. But folks, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any thoughts on Japanese curses, demons, Japanese ghost stories that you want to share with us with your opinions, shoot JJ an email. Go to his website, southerndemonology.com. Click on the contact button. You can get a hold of him directly there. My website is a work in progress. We're almost there. We will have that capability in the future, hopefully in the near future. But if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach us at twroadpodcast@gmail.com. Again, if you are watching/listening on YouTube, please subscribe, like, share this video, leave a comment, reach out to us. I enjoy interfacing with the community, and it's always awesome to pump out this content for everyone. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you for listening, all.
You've reached the end of tonight's journey on the Wandering Road. The show is written and produced by me, Chris, and my co-host, Dean. If you've got a scary story of your own, or if you'd like to join us as a guest, send your tale to twroadpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to follow us on social media for more haunted fun. And if you enjoyed tonight's episode, please rate, review, and share the show. It helps keep the lantern burning for fellow travelers. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road and your mind in the shadows, because the wandering never ends.